One greetings from the high 10. It's Everyday Shenanigans. Thank you all for joining me. Happy Sunday to everybody in the chat. Hope you all have a safe and prosperous week, work week, leisure for some. Thank you, Joelle, for your patience. Hello, Anna, Kathy. As most of you know, people have been stopping by the home where the child resided, Quinton Simon. And I'm going to play you a little bit of commentary pertaining to that. Then I'm going to go into my subject matter. WSAV3 NBC News is the source.
Missing Chatham County toddler has become a recovery mission. Investigators say they are now looking for little Quinton Simon's body. The Chatham County Police Chief tells us they now have evidence that the child is dead. They also tell us the child's mother is the one and only suspect in this case. Within the community, people are mourning the little boy. With a tiny teddy bear and a balloon, a vigil has started outside of the home where Quinton Simon was last seen. This Savannah mother said she had to do something to let the people who loved the little boy know that she cared.
Because it just was laid on my heart. I have 5 grandchildren, and this right here really just touched my heart.
When you heard the news today?
When I heard the news that there's a possibility of him being deceased.
WSAV's lead investigative reporter Brett Buffington tells us what we know now about this investigation so far.
Police haven't told us the evidence that's made them believe Quinton Simon has died, but they tell us they haven't. The little boy, last seen last week, is still the center of an intense search.
Sadly, we still have not found Quinton.
The toddler's mother, Leilani Simon, the only suspect, her call to 911.
She woke up, her door was open,
telling police that she thought someone took her child.
Leilani's story doesn't add up.
From the start, Quinton's grandparents didn't believe that story. His grandmother telling the investigative unit her daughter doesn't remember anything from the morning Quinton went missing. Her and her husband, Thomas, both in shock that Quinton isn't just missing.
We know that millions of people fell in love with Quinton Simon the moment they saw his face and learned of his disappearance.
Quinton's family tells us that federal agents and local investigators in this case believe Quinton's body may be in a landfill. Chatham County's police chief said he wouldn't talk about something that specific, but both the FBI and his department would tell us when and where this heartbreaking search goes next.
For a full timeline of events in this story, you can visit wsav.com/Quinton Simon.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Let's chop up what was said in this commentary. This is a recovery of a body. Quinton Simon. The mother is the sole suspect. People have come out to pay their respects to the home of the child. It's crazy to me. Different versions of what allegedly happened. Door open. The mother believes somebody came in and took the child. I will go into more of that detail in my commentary here in a minute. The mother and stepfather speaking on the news. If something doesn't add up, basically she's saying she doesn't believe her own child. They show you a picture of the landfill, which the view that they show looks flattened out, which I'm sure that's what they do. After they get so much, they flatten it out. As to bring in more trash, then flatten it out. So if I'm to believe, I don't even know what to believe at this point. And looking at that area view, that's flattened out. So you'd have to dig up what they've already cut the earth down to, if that makes any sense to you. Or are we talking about another landfill that possibly the child could be in? I don't know, because I don't know what goes on down there. Beautiful city, very historic city. Most of you know this about Savannah, Georgia. It's a historical city. Sadly, We're bringing commentary pertaining to a child missing out of this city. They have evidence that they're not revealing to the public, and they deemed the mother as the suspect, sole suspect. And it's very interesting because you rarely hear that terminology without an arrest. Why not? Why have you not arrested Leilani Simon? Law officials. What is the holdup? Why not arrest her for lying? Because she's given different versions, and I'm going to bring you that said commentary. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $McAngie, 129 Cash App. All stickers and chats are welcome during my live. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Sunday afternoon. Hope everybody's well. I'm going to chop up this information as best that I can to tell you why I believe this is a pre-planned murder and that she is attempting to set up the boyfriend. Thank you for joining me. The first source is the Daily Beast. Hello, everybody in the chat. This was uploaded several days ago on the 13th, but still relevant. Savannah, Georgia toddler disappeared more than a week ago. Based on multiple search warrants and interviews, authorities announced Thursday saying they aren't sure precisely where the child's remains or their prime suspect, the boy's mom, are located. Of course, it's over a week old commentary. 20-month-old Quinton Simon went missing on the 5th. Hasn't been seen since. 22-year-old mother, Leilani Simon, is the primary suspect in the case, Chief Jeffrey Hatley, Chatham County Police Department, said at the afternoon press conference. Investigators don't know where she is currently. Naturally, this is a week ago. We don't believe she's a flight risk at this time. Why not? I say because she doesn't have resources. Cops have not located Quinton's body, which they reportedly believe may be in an as yet unidentified landfill. I bring you this commentary, although it's a week or so old, because it's relevant to this audio I just played by the news. They have evidence, won't reveal what it is. What is it? Blood, tracking, eyewitness. She told somebody, told the boyfriend perhaps, told somebody else. What about that brother that stays in the house? What is your evidence to lead you to believe the baby is dead? That is the number one question. Why do you believe the child is dead? You're looking in the landfill because what? GPS tracking on a car, GPS tracking on a phone on that said Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. Are we talking about pings coming back from a cell phone device? GPS tracking on a car, which that is how Taylor Rose was found. Pings from phones and the GPS tracking on the mother's car led Florida law enforcement to the state of Alabama on a highway, and the child was discarded in the woods. Amen for GPS tracking. Thank you, Jesus. Is this their evidence against Leilani Simon? Or is it a combination? GPS tracking, phone tracking, Google, and evidentiary material from a human body left behind at the house with a poor cleanup. Was luminol used in that house and it came back positive for blood splatter on the wall and or items in the house? Believing that the child is in an unidentified landfill. Why is that? Once again, GPS tracking, phone tracking stops at a landfill. Or as I got information from a source, the cadaver dogs last scent puts them at the landfill. Thank you for joining me. Ooh, this information gets more disturbing by the moment. The day Quinton vanished, Mom texted the boy's babysitter to tell her she wouldn't be needed. A little less than 4 hours later, Simon reported to police that Quinton was missing and accused his biological father of abducting him. But cops quickly ruled the father out and set their sights on Simon. We have not made an arrest or filed any charges at this time, Hatley told reporters. From the moment we received the 911 call reporting Quinton missing, we have conducted an exhaustive search for him. Sadly, we still have not found Quinton, but our search and our investigation will continue. With every available resource we have in order to give Quinton's family closure and see that justice is served in this case. Thank you so much for that super chat. Hadley declined to elaborate on why Simon has not yet been arrested or charged, would not say what led cops to believe Quinton is no longer alive. What I can say is that the evidence so far, based on multiple interviews and search warrants, has led us to the conclusion that Quinton is deceased, he said. The investigation doesn't end right there. We will continue to investigate this until its final conclusion because we only get one shot at this and we're going to do it right. FBI Supervisory Special Agent Will Clark, who appeared today with Hatley, said the Bureau's heart breaks along with yours in trying to comprehend what we believe happened here. More than 40 FBI agents, analysts, officers, support staff joined the investigation. According to Clark, who said he and his colleagues mobilized less than 3 hours after Quinton was reported missing. The FBI's Child Abduction Rapid Deployment, CARD team is also involved, bringing in specialists from around the country to assist. We know that millions fell in love with Simon the moment they saw his face and learned of his disappearance. Hatley said, we have seen the outpouring of love, concern for this child, outpouring of grief at the latest developments in this case. The men and women of the Chatham County Police Department share that same sadness, but we also feel very determined to keep working as hard as we can, as for as long as we have to find Quinton. I read you this article, which some of this I've already read to you before about a week ago. Part of the information in this article goes to my conclusion that this is pre-planned, due to the fact that when you first hear them mention the mother said the father took him. So let's chop that up. First, you say that the father took him, but they ruled the father out. So that means the father of the child obviously didn't live anywhere close to the baby and or was not nowhere near the baby at the time of the child's reported missing. And we don't know really when he went missing. This is just a version from the mother. So we really don't know time the child actually went missing, got gone, murdered. We don't know anything. But the father's been ruled out. He wandered off. The door was open. Well, which is it? He was kidnapped. He wandered off through an open door. The father took him, ruled out. He wandered off. Somebody kidnapped him. Well, which is it? Because one's been ruled out. As I said, there's been a memorial for the child, people bringing things to the house. One woman by the name of April Watring said, I think we might grab some stuff to bring out here too. Watring and Austin Somerton ended up bringing a butterfly bush on Friday with the goal of showing that there are people across the area who love and care about Quinton and are grieving his loss. It breaks my heart, Somerton said. Chatham County Police Department announced Friday they don't believe there'll be any searches for Quinton through Sunday, but investigators will continue to gather and analyze evidence during that time. Carol Watson, who drove by the house Friday, said it's just so devastating, it breaks my heart. Quinton's mother, Leilani Simon, sole suspect, still not arrested or charged. Hopefully he will get justice he deserves, said a woman who contributed to the memorial on Friday. This is by WJCL News. And this was uploaded October 14th. So, no search for the child up through today. Today is Sunday. But know that investigators, FBI, are doing their job behind the scenes. Data, tracking, talking to neighbors, verifying information. Let's get started, everybody. Okay. Let me know if you all can hear me properly. Just say yes, because I put my headset on. I want to make sure that everything is okay in the chat. Thank you all so much for joining me. Can you all hear me in the chat? Okay, thank you. Let's hit it, everybody. Why does Everyday Shenanigans believe that this was a pre-planned murder? The different versions given to law officials leads me to believe this was pre-planned. Because you see, an old adage saying in the street is that the truth needs no explanation. There's no need for different versions if you are telling the truth. Your child is missing. You're not going to tell law officials that someone abducted your child. You left a door open. The father took the child. You see, once a person realizes that law officials have excluded one of your versions, then the perpetrator, I'm going to say perpetrator because now she's been deemed the suspect. You will have to start fishing for your next version. So your next version has to appear better than the first version. So your first version, Leilani Simon, you said the father took him. Police ruled him out. Don't know where he is, where he lives, but obviously they felt like he had an ironclad alibi and not near your house in Savannah, Georgia. So where is the father? Where does he live? Where does he reside? What does he do? When was the last time he had contact with the mother, the child? When was the last time he visually saw the child? Do they call each other? Video, Skype, Messenger, what? Or is there no relationship with the biological father? And if so, why not? Does he have other children? Is he married? Does he have a criminal background? You have to ask all those questions because we are naturally curious. And there's nothing wrong with asking these questions. Let me make that clear. Because we're talking about a child. So therefore, everything about you is important, whether it is your past or not. It is important. Because in the end, police do not know you. They don't know your mama, your daddy, your pappy, nobody. Whoever kept you, babysat you, neighbor, church member, it doesn't matter. So long as you had contact with the child, anything about you is relevant until you can be excluded as a suspect. The 4-hour window between the boyfriend, Danny, seeing the child in the playpen. Did he see the child, or is that just a version of a pre-planned death? The child was last seen allegedly at 6 a.m. A call goes into a babysitter before that at 5:30 to say the children will not be going to her house, Miss McCarter. 9 o'clock, one of these heathens called her, Miss McCarter, to say Have you seen the child? And at 9:40 a.m., a call goes into the Savannah Dispatch or general area to report a child missing. Focus on the time. 5:30, I won't be needing your services. This is to the babysitter. 6 o'clock, the boyfriend sees the child allegedly in the playpen. Playing. So that means the child was woke. So now we could throw out the theory that a dead baby was lying in the crib. Come on, bring it to him, Queen. See, that's why you have to keep going over the information. This is why I don't listen to he said, she said. I go by the articles because that means whoever wrote the story for the news got it from law officials. And law officials got their version from the people and the perpetrator. Always remember that. So we're going to throw out the theory of an abduction. Throw out the theory that the father took the child because he's been ruled out. And the fact that they think the mother did it, say she's a sole suspect, means you have something on her personally. So you think. Because now I'm going to tie in here in a minute the setup of the boyfriend. Stay with me now. 4 hours from a phone call, text to the babysitter versus 9:40 a.m. call to the dispatch. You must think we're stupid, Leilani. My source tells me that a door was open from 2 to 5. So that means somebody opened the door from the inside of the house or the outside, which goes to my theory of a planned death. I doubt that somebody came from outside and just was bored and decided to open your door, be it front or back, whichever, and did what exactly? Just stood there? Oh, that's right, they came in and took the baby. But see, this is where you messed up. See, the queen stays on top of her business. I want everybody to listen very carefully what I'm getting ready to tell you. This is why I would say to listen at the information, because none of you knew about this security system. This is a source brought to me via information from law enforcement. You're entitled to believe it or not. If the door was open from 2 to 5, from either the inside or the outside, I think you all know where I'm getting ready to take this. Who shut the damn door at 5 o'clock? Bingo card. You see, you wasn't expecting anybody to know that. And yes, people leak out stuff. Somebody wanted to let the queen know something. And they contacted me. Leilani, Danny, I'm going to ask you directly. Which one of you closed the door? Because this is where you messed up. You left the door open because you knew it would show on the security system. But where you fucked up is the door has to be closed. And if we are to believe the timeline of 2 to 5, then that means one of you shut the damn door. So why are you up at 5 o'clock shutting the door? And why would you have left the door open in the first place? And a perpetrator coming in to take a child is going to go to the rooms, get the child, bring the child out. He or she may leave the door open. They may close it. But the gist of the story is, even if the perpetrator, let's say somebody did kidnap the baby, someone from inside of the house still had to close the door. That's where you messed up. When you shut the damn door at 5 o'clock. And then, are you all listening? Because now it's all started to come into fruition. The door closed at 5 o'clock. I just put this together while I'm sitting here. 5:30, bingo card, you call Diana McCarter. Shut up, Queen. How convenient. I want to thank the source. Because even if you all don't believe this, sounds kind of good to me. Sounds kind of damn good to me. 3-hour window, a door is open. It mysteriously closes itself 30 minutes before a text is sent or call is sent to Diana McCarter. How about that? Does this family have surveillance cameras inside or outside of the house that will also secure the identity of the suspect, which police believe is the bio mother, Leilani? In this information that I just brought to you about the door and the security system, and also that the brother has an app on his phone, the brother that nobody is talking about, what is his role in this? Does he have any information? Does he know what happened? Did he wake up when he heard the ping on the door opening? What is his involvement as well, the brother? Did he see or hear anything on that morning? Because I would think that the mother, Billy Joe, would want someone to be in cahoots to watch the house. So it makes sense that this brother, possibly a child she trusts, have an app on his phone to see the comings and goings in and out of the house. Who's coming, doors opening, doors closing, windows opening, closing, etc. So what does he know about Tuesday night and Wednesday morning? And was he sleeping in that house Tuesday night or Wednesday morning? You hearing a buzz, sweetie? I'll take this out. What does the brother know? The information that I got yesterday was varying. Please check out the last video that I made. It's in the YouTube queue for the said information from the source. The other part of the information that was given to me, which is in the title of this video, did Leilani attempting to set up the boyfriend? It's the information that she told law officials that sometimes she walks out and picks up Danny's keys by mistake. Leilani, why did you tell the police that? And I know you're probably thinking to yourself, if you're listening, somebody will tell you, there's this big black woman on YouTube talking about you, and she's saying some things that nobody's supposed to know. Of course I'm not supposed to know. That's the point of you assuming that you have committed the perfect crime. Is that nobody is supposed to know what the hell was going on in your house, and nobody is supposed to know, especially law officials, what you did with this baby, the motive for killing the baby. Because, you know, in my eye, I don't believe in accidents. And as law officials say, there are no coincidences. True crime. I do believe this is a deliberate, premeditated homicide of a baby boy. And I do believe with the information that's been given to me that she is attempting to set up the boyfriend. Because this is what you do when you realize nobody believes what you are saying. So you attempt to fish. Well, whatever that boyfriend's name is, the baby daddy, I mean, Is his name not Danny? Or did I mispronounce his name? I may have mispronounced. I take in so much information, I start to lose focus. Anyway, the baby, the small baby's biological father, Youngkin, his name. We'll call him Youngkin. When you made that comment, I do believe you were throwing him under the bus. The baby daddy. Because you knew what you were telling them was not believable. Yes, Anna, I thought so. I hate when people come in and they throw me off. That's why I don't like looking at the chat, because it throws me off while I'm talking. You knew that the garbage you were spewing about the baby missing wasn't adding up. So you had to throw something else out there. And from my understanding, is that you were skittish during this report of the child when law officials came to your house. You didn't appear to seem concerned about what you were revealing to them about the baby, the circumstances from which the child went missing allegedly. So you knew you were lying, and they knew you were lying, because a seasoned detective knows a liar. It's not to say he or she can't make a mistake, but they usually know when someone is lying, when they're evasive, not giving eye contact, twitching and twiddling and rocking and, talking in circles and rambling and fishing. And that's what you did during that interview process. You were fishing. Okay, they got me. This don't sound good to them. Let me say I pick up my boyfriend's keys sometimes when I go out the door. Phone, I mean. Cell phone. Excuse me, you guys. Cell phone. See, I'm getting all confused. Cell phone. I pick up his cell phone going out. Sorry about that. So, do you pick up his cell phone sometimes by mistake? I'm just curious. Or you just use that excuse on that day? Excuse the discrepancy, everybody. Because I always think of keys when you're running out of the door. She told an officer that sometimes he picks up the boyfriend's cell phone. Knowing her, she probably said keys too, just to make it sound good. Because she's a liar. And remember that the stepfather had said that during a news broadcast, that she lies. So how bad is it? The stepdad says you're a liar. The mother saying the version you've given doesn't add up. But yet they still let you stay in the house. You still have a place to stay and hide out from the news media. You wouldn't be staying in my house, because that's why this mess is the way it is. And it's not to say that you wouldn't have killed that baby or any of your other children living in an apartment somewhere else or living in a trailer somewhere else, because you're diabolical. Skittish my ass. You don't have any empathy. There's a difference. You don't care about anything. You're numb. And your demeanor was taught to you. And you got that from Billy Joe. Because see, we don't really know the ins and outs of what your life was like growing up with this woman and all the things she did while raising you and her other children. And it's my understanding that another brother is estranged from you all and he doesn't get along with you. I'd like to know why not. I'd like to know about this other brother that stays in the house, why there's no mention of him in any commentary in the news. All the conversation is about you being the suspect, a boyfriend living there, the parents living there. But there's not much information to what really is going on in this house and why this woman is living somewhere else. Your mother. Because basically, your mother and stepfather were living somewhere else. If I'm to believe they stayed more than 1 week off somewhere else working. They might as well have been paying rent somewhere else. And naturally, whether they camped out or whatever, you're still living somewhere else. I don't care that you have a house in your name. You're not there. You don't know what's going on. So I would see she would have an eye in the sky while gone. And that would leave your brother to watch the house and have recordings of what's going on in the house. How amazing will it be to find out there is a security camera in the house that shows every damn thing that's going on in there. And the outside too. Well, we'll see. But see, that's what's interesting. We haven't heard anything about the brother. But he would have been a likely suspect too. A likely scapegoat. Oh, my brother did it. But see, maybe the brother comes and goes, so who knows? I don't know his situation. I don't know his age. I don't know what he does. I'm waiting on information from some of these questions pertaining to Billy Joe, their work, how long they've worked for this company, because that also ties into the signing of the custody papers. I'd like to know if Billy Joe had this position when she took custody of the children, because that would show her true intent and her feelings toward the kids and the daughter. Because if she took the job, if she took the custody of the children, signed it as the custodian while having this position, that shows she had no intention of keeping the children. And that is why, possibly, if I'm correct in what I'm assuming, she reached out to somebody at that church where Miss McCarter attends to get somebody to keep these kids because she knew the daughter wasn't going to go out and look for a babysitter. How about that? See, this is what you all don't seem to understand about people who are grand hustlers, manipulators, con artists, defrauders. Their mind is on the hustle even when they're not breaking the law. Checkmate. The hustle is always in you. And if you've never lived that life of defrauding, stealing, manipulating, grifting, you will not know what it is about. So Queen is going to school you this Sunday afternoon. Your mind is always in rotation on the come up. Even if you're not stealing out of someone's purse or register, stealing out of somebody's house, you are always looking for a way to come up. And that was her mission when someone reached out to Diana McCarter. Stay woke now. Because what you have to ask yourself is the obvious. Why was Leilani not the one reaching out to someone to keep her kids? It was Billy Joe. And Miss McCarter tells you that in a Facebook Live that I believe now is deleted. Why, I don't know. Because she's still going live. But that's a whole nother subject. Why is Billy Joe the mediator, initiator, the grand poobah, the head knocker? Because as AB said last night, she likes to be in control. She's a narcissist. And she's been running the show from day one because she knows her child is an addict and a fuck up. So she has to be the orchestrator, the ringleader, the grand poobah, the head knocker. But where she messed up is allowing this farce to continue at the expense of 3 small babies. Working this job away, if indeed there's truth to this, you signed the death warrant of Quinton Simon with full knowledge that he was being abused, his brother was being abused, and also neglected, and the baby girl neglected as well. Do not know if the baby girl was being physically abused, but by law, it doesn't matter. So long as one child's being beat up, hurt, all are susceptible. And naturally, they cannot remain in the home. Hello, Zena. I find it interesting, if I'm to believe this information that A Balance had on his channel about a DHS report. I'm not going into that during this live, but the children were not taken out immediately. Because remember, the 911 report went in on the 5th of October. And the children were removed, I believe, days later. So therefore, why was there no rush? Such as in the case with Summer Wells. Her brothers remained in the home with the Wells for 6 weeks. Why? Why did you leave them there initially and then waited 6 weeks to take them out? Of course, it was our understanding that there was some incident with Mr. Wells. Don't know the real reasoning, because most of the stuff pertaining to them is gossip and just assumptions from their behavior, plural. But the children removed 6 weeks later. These children removed a few days later. And I believe they were only removed because she was deemed the suspect in the child's murder. Must be some mean evidence they have against Leilani to assume she killed her kid or say she did. So what is the evidence? See, I always tell you to start at the beginning of a story. Your truth lies at the beginning. Your truth lies with who's spinning the web of the story. Person or persons. That is where your truth lies. Not in the middle, not at the end, but the beginning. That's why I don't listen to too much gossip. He said, she said, because that distorts the truth. And naturally, you want to listen to some commentary from outsiders or people close to the victim and the people spinning the story as to get an idea of what was going on with the victim. Because that's just natural. You're going to ask people, hey, do you know these people? What do you know about them? But you still have to discern what is truth and what is fiction. And sometimes it can be grainy, depending on who the messenger is. So a lot of our information is banked from the babysitter, if you're to believe the allegations she's brought forward. And it's amazing that these people quickly turned on the babysitter. But that's usually how it happens. The person who's extending themselves in an olive branch is the main one that gets burned, gets betrayed. It happens every day. You can't be nice to people. And this woman has had to learn the hard way by taking care of these children. She got burned in the end. And hopefully she will learn a lesson from this. Be careful who you take up with. Everybody is not your friend and do not mean you will. And she possibly, I would hope, not ever babysit anybody's kid unless they're her own. Because at this point, I would never babysit. I would never. There's no way I'd want to be back in this situation again with somebody. Because it goes to the fact that you don't know people. And when you start hearing and seeing things about them, run like hell. And many of us don't. And this is why we get burned later. Because we say to ourselves, as my friend who told me this recently, he's now no longer living. He just passed away. He said to me a few months ago when I was going through something, he said, you knew the person was a snake, but you didn't want to accept that they were a snake. And when they finally bit you the worst way, you still couldn't see that. You're just mad at the way the snake bit you. But nonetheless, it was still a snake. And I had to think about that and didn't want to accept that. that the signs were there that the person wasn't right, but they hadn't gone so far out in the betrayal. But nonetheless, they were doing things that were suspect all along. They just hadn't brought the bang yet. Or as we say in the street, the jump off. This is why you have to say to yourself, when you're dealing with people, yeah, they're doing little things I don't like. They're saying things I don't like, but I'm going to keep fooling with them anyway. Best you don't. Because what you're not prepared for is to jump off. Because in your mind, you're possibly saying to yourself, oh, they won't go that far. He or she won't go that far. See, that's the point about dealing with people. You don't know how far they're going to go until it happens. And at that point, it's too late. You can't take it back. Thank you all so much for joining me. Hope you all are well out there. Hopefully this week we will get some type of information pertaining to this baby. I pray this is, Lord have mercy, this will not become a winded story pertaining to the death of a child, because I know that is what they're wanting, law officials, is a body. And I think most of us know this at this point in the investigation. They need a body as to determine manner of death. But if we're to believe that the child is in a landfill and perhaps under the earth, this is going to be very detrimental in determining manner of death, because the body will be ravaged at this point. And a coroner may not be able to bring forth an accurate determination. If you'd like to join this panel pertaining to this commentary of a pre-planned death and a setup by Leilani Simon of the boyfriend, please hit the link. Thank you for joining me. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you. 154 viewing. Amen. Happy Sunday to everybody. And congratulations to the Tennessee Vols. They won a spectacular game yesterday against Alabama. It was a very, very, very good game. $153 viewing. Let's not be shy today. I welcome your opinion pertaining to this information that I've relayed to you in this live. The information I brought to you yesterday and today pertaining to a source, pertaining to security system, the door being ajar for 3 hours, the fact that she threw out that sometimes when she leaves the house, she picks up the boyfriend's cell phone. Excuse me for saying keys. Tell me what you think about that said information. Do you believe this is a premeditated murder of Quinton Simon and that she is attempting to set up the boyfriend? They will start to point fingers. That was also mentioned in the commentary, that they all are going to turn on one another. $159 viewing. The link is in the chat. If you'd like to join us, please hit the link. I'd like to hear your opinion. Thank you. If not, I will check out of here. I'm not trying to give a lengthy live today. If there's not going to be any engaging conversation on the panel, because it is Sunday. Thank you, Chris. Hello, Michelle. How are you? Zena, Donna. Hello, Jody. 158. That's basically my commentary. That I believe This is premeditated due to the fact of the different versions giving of the child wandering off, the father abducting the child. She left the front door open. Too many different scenarios. And I would have asked her, so which is it exactly? The child wandered off. Your baby daddy took the child. You left the door open. Why is the door open? Why would you leave a door open? Hello, Julie. Hello, DJ. Why would you leave a door open? That makes no sense. In a day and time where there's nothing but crime, who leaves their door open? It's understandable you thought you shut the door, because I've done that recently. Thought the door shut and got up the next day. I slept the entire night in this place with the door unlocked. Very scary. Frankly, the lock itself was locked. The door wasn't pushed all the way up. That was the problem. But still, nonetheless, a perpetrator could have pushed the door open. Well, Autumn, can you sit the baby down? Where's Brittany? I'm surprised Brittany's not in the chat tonight. This evening. She's usually listening. But I do believe she's also trying to set up this boyfriend. I sometimes grab his phone when leaving out. How convenient. See, she was fishing. I sometimes grab his phone. Well, everybody makes mistakes with keys and stuff. So you usually do this when you're rushing or you're frantic, upset, or disoriented. That's why you need to be on your P's and Q's when you're going in and out of your house. When you're shopping, because this is how you make mistakes. This is how you lock your keys in the car, leave them in the doors of the car or the house. You need to be functioning well because, as I've said, this is what a perpetrator is looking for, that one opportunity where you are slipping. This is why we have the crime we have, because sometimes we have given the perpetrator reason to come in. That's why you don't leave cars running. Now, you have newer cars. You have the push button on your remote keychain. The door will be locked. The car will be running, but the perpetrator can't get in the car. But the old way, the door is going to be unlocked. So the perpetrator can get in the car and drive off. You just can't give people an opportunity to rob you or hurt you. Unfortunately, in this case, this is a mother-child scenario. He's innocent. He has no idea his mother hates him so she would plan his own death. But it is what it is. There are a lot of people who don't like their children. And a lot of people ask those questions. Well, why? Why would she kill him? Why would he kill him? I tell you, don't ask why. Ask why not. Why not kill him? You're talking to a mad person, asking them why. Why would you kill your kid? They're looking at you like, why not? I killed him because I could. That's why a lot of people commit the crimes that they commit, heinous crimes. They did it because they could. They did it because they wanted to. Don't necessarily need a reason. I did it because I could. And it's sickening to know that a person doesn't like their own child. For whatever reason, didn't want the child, can't afford the child, things aren't working out with the relationship of the other parent. The other parent doesn't want you, don't treat you well, whatever. And now you're taking it out on a small, innocent person who didn't ask to be here. And that's what people need to understand, is that a child didn't ask to be here. They didn't start the circumstances for which they came. And a lot of people aren't ready to have children. There's nothing wrong with that, because the thing about having children is you don't know what the job is going to be like until you actually get in it of trying to raise a kid. But At some point, when you realize it's not working, then you need to make provisions. That is the adult thing to do. You don't keep having kids and you don't keep abusing the children. That makes no logical sense to keep bearing kids. And I'm hearing that lately from people that I'm around recently. A few people I've talked to talking about their daughters and sons and daughters making baby after baby, and they acting like they don't know what to do with their kids. And it's like, why do you keep having them? You can't expect somebody to just come in and just take your kid and you play no role and no part in it. And then go get yourself knocked up again and then come crying, oh, I just thought I'd tell you I'm pregnant again. Excuse me? Well, it's 3 small children. The mother, the boyfriend, that would have been 5. The parents, Billy Joe and him, that's 7. And the other brother would have been 8. 8 people. Minus 1 now would leave 7. The boyfriend's gone, that leaves 6. The other 2 children gone. I'm not counting right. It'd be down to 3 now. Let's go there. Since all children are gone, the boyfriend's gone. It'd be just Leilani, her brother, her mother, and stepfather. It's a very sick story. But as I've told you before, many people live like these people. There's the wounded birds, which are the children. There's the other relatives who lay in the cut somewhere, maybe don't have nothing to do with nothing, but they're a part of it because they're watching it and living in the house. That's possibly the brother. Then you got the grandparents coming in and out, chaotic grandmother, Billy Joe. Then you've got the boyfriend and girlfriend. Who knows what the hell was going on with those 2? Then they're abusing the kids, neglecting the kids. This story goes on every day. I hear these stories all the time from people who just can't get it together. And then their parents are always spitting stories about them, endless stories about their kids. And what people don't understand is that this shit is negative. And we all have bad days. We all have a day where you're dealing with mangy ass neighbors, mangy people in your own life, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, jacked up stories of stuff they're doing. They're complaining about you, however it goes, because, we're all not going to tell what we've done in the story. But nonetheless, just story after story after story. The point is that when you spin a web to somebody, you're spinning negative energy, whether you mean to or not. And at some point when it's redundant, the person who's listening now is carrying that negative energy around them. Even if they don't immerse themselves in the business, they don't physically get involved. They could just listen, sometimes chime in. You're still partaking in it even when you're listening. And at some point, it does have to be an ending to it when it's negative all the time. And that gets old. I once heard an expert say on a talk show that you can't have chaos everywhere in your life because you won't make it if you do. Such as, you can't live in a chaotic house, then go to a job that's chaotic. Okay? Then have chaotic friendships, courtships. So there's no peace in your life. Or as old black folks would say, no peace in the valley. Exactly. There has to be peace somewhere. You have got to find inner peace first because that's self-preservation. But sometimes it's hard to be peaceful within oneself if they are in an unpeaceful environment. And if every day you're going around toxic people, they're toxic in the house, they're toxic in the neighborhood, then you're going to work, that's toxic. Then you got toxic people calling your phone, crying and moaning and complaining. Hell, you're 2 minutes from jumping off a damn building. That's no good. Then you're starting to question yourself. your purpose in life. Hell, what am I doing here? Everybody I come in contact with's got a fucking problem. I've got problems. They're my problems. Back and forth, back and forth. There's got to be peace in the valley. And I personally don't do that drama. That's why when you hear the Queen go live, you don't ever hear chaos in the background. The only thing you may hear, somebody working on the house or something like that, doing things pertaining to the structure, but you will never, so long as I breathe and hold this YouTube channel, you will ever hear chaos in this structure, in this room. I will not tolerate it. Not now, not never. And we all make mistakes with people. We all fool with the wrong kind of people. We chasing behind the wrong kind of people. We give the wrong kind of people chances. But there comes a point when you know it is not working and you have to preserve yourself and bow out. And sometimes it is hard. I'm a living witness. But you cannot have chaos where you sleep. You want to fool with the monkeys out there in the street? Fine. But don't let that shit come back in there where you sleep. And I'm serious. Because that's how you get yourself caught up. And you end up a story like this. Enabling. Now you're a news story talking about your child on the news. Killing a kid. You're a neighbor or babysitter talking about you kept the kid that's now missing, that's now deemed dead and killed by the mother. You don't want to be one of these stories. And I tell people that all the time. I tell young people that you keep dicking around with these street people, that's where you're going to be. You're going to be on the 6 o'clock news, 11 o'clock news, because you don't make good choices with the company you keep. You randomly get hurt. You randomly get shot. You have a car accident. That's different. That's not the same. Going around people you see are chaotic. People that are always in disputes with people. Every time you turn around, they're arguing with somebody. They're fussing with somebody. Or they're going places where they're jacked up. That's why sometimes, like I said, we all have to check ourselves and say, well, I probably don't need to be going around these people or this place because it's always a problem. It's always a malfunction. It's the same thing if you went to a party or function. You may like the person who invited you, but maybe their company ain't too kosher. Maybe they're messy, keep up a lot of drama. Somebody's got a lot of snide remarks to make. That's your cue to either remove yourself or next time they have a function and you think that person or people are going to be invited, don't go. Hello, Brittany. How are you? I was wondering where you were. Just be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of the company you keep. Be aware of things that don't look right, especially when it comes to violence, child neglect, child abuse. You don't want to be a party to anything. Because in the end, running to the news and running to social media networks such as YouTube to spin a story about what you saw and heard after the fact, what's the point? That doesn't bring the dead back. We could right now have a live child living had somebody stepped up and did the right thing and said, hey, there's something going on with these people over here. And this is, yes, another failed child, failed children, because he also has siblings. And you also have to ask, do they have other siblings by their baby fathers with other women? What's the status quo of those children? Are any of these fathers noble, decent enough to take these remaining two children in? Possibly not. Because if you don't have a relationship with the children before death, what judge would say you fit to keep your kids, raise your kids? don't want to put the kids back in a dire situation. This is a horrible story. Another horrible story. Hit the link. If you want to give your commentary pertaining to the murder of this baby, Quinton, being pre-planned by the mother, Leilani, and possible she's setting up the boyfriend, and also a video I made yesterday. Is he a co-conspirator? Please check the library queue for that said video. Well, Donna, that's why she shouldn't have said anything. Because she made herself look like a fool saying those things to the news and then busting up in that lady's house, cursing her out about an alleged memorial. She just looks stupid. And this is the same person that allegedly was helping them with these kids. That lady was just used, Diana McCarter. That was obvious. She was just a means to an end. Well, sometimes you have to unsubscribe and then resubscribe, and then you'll get a notification. That's what's been told to me. I don't know. I don't know how YouTube works with the notifications. Sometimes you have to, they say unsubscribe and resubscribe. But nonetheless, this family is toxic. So it's expected that it's passed down through the generations. Now, naturally, you do not have to become what or how you were raised or how your parents are. But sometimes people don't learn anything else and they mirror their parents. It's just the way it is. Because a lot of people have been born in horrible situations and they have overcame adversity, abuse, and neglect. And they have become very productive citizens. And they have gone on to do great things in the world. They work every day. They've reared children. They donate their time in the community. They give back. So there are some great success stories from child abuse, child neglect. But unfortunately, we have this one story where the child is deemed dead. And I would like to know what that evidence is, because it has my mind wondering, what do they have? And as I said, the only thing I can come up with are pings on the phone that somebody discarded a child at a landfill or said location, blood, spatter, matter left behind at the scene, not thoroughly cleaned up, or an eyewitness, or somebody told somebody what they did. Either one, or a combination of all. Hello, everybody in the chat. I'm a little bit over an hour, 173 viewing. Thank you so much. Yes, you have to go back to the beginning of this video to get the said information. I played a little bit of the memorial of, people stopping by the house. One lady giving her commentary about stopping by the house and tying a balloon at the scene, for the child. And naturally, there's other people down there that don't need to be down there. But I don't discuss that because that's it. That mess is irrelevant to me. But this is a very sad story. I'm not going to hold you guys. I'm going to check out of here. But I thank you all so much for tuning in this Sunday afternoon. Hope you all have a prosperous week. But that was my commentary pertaining to the child that I do believe. Yes, I heard it on AB's channel last night. I was in the chat. I do believe this was a pre-planned murder of a child. The motive doesn't matter because there's no rationale behind killing a child. But I do believe she's attempting to set up the boyfriend by her commentary to law officials that was revealed to me. I believe she was on a phishing attempt, and she threw out this cockamamie story about grabbing his phone on occasion. I do believe that's her attempt to set him up. I do believe they will start to point fingers. That was also told to me that this is a very bizarre family, and there's a lot of bickering, physical and verbal abuse amongst the participants in the home, and that they all will turn on one another. That's what was told to me. And I think this was pre-planned, because if I'm to believe the information given to me about the door ajar for 3 hours, somebody had to close that door at 5. They then sent a text to the Miss McCarter at 5:30 that shows a plan put in motion. 6 o'clock, somebody says they see the baby in the crib, which would be the boyfriend, Danny. 3 hours later, you text the babysitter. 40 minutes later, you call 911. This is all planned. The death of this baby, and I do believe it's a homicide, was all orchestrated and planned. Leaving doors open, calling and texting people, calling and retexting the same person to ask have they seen them. 9:40, you put in a call to 911. You give different versions of what you think happened to the kid. As they say in the street, the truth needs no explanation. So therefore, you have no logical reason to keep changing what you think happened to the kid. Because indeed, if your child was kidnapped, you wouldn't know anyway. But you do know because you're the orchestrator of the child's death. If you'd like to donate to this great network, Everyday Shenanigans, $sign Big Angie, 129, Cash App. Super chats and stickers are welcome during my live. Yes, it's very terrifying. And the gist of the story is this: Quinton won't be the first, and he won't be the last. He will not be the last story that you hear of a deliberate homicide by a parent or guardian or a relative. Because they're just evil people out here who have no regard for life. They're empty vessels floating through, and people are continuing to deal with them, enable them, so they can exact these type of heinous crimes. It is time for people to stop enabling buffoons. And it's not to say that out your peripheral, they wouldn't kill a kid, but I wouldn't be a party to the toxicity. And if you think they are abusing children, you need to call the police and the Department of Human Services, because there is no reason for this woman to ever have had these children. That's the bottom line. And if the grandmother, Billy Joe, didn't want them, she should have never signed the damn papers. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. Mind the children. Praying for arrest of all participants in that house. You're all dirty to me. You all have willful knowledge that the children were being abused and neglected. You duped that woman into keeping those kids, and then you turned on her in the end, Miss McCarter. You're all guilty, and there needs to be arrest of all parties that took care of the children in that house, saw the children in that house, lived in that house, and Billy Joe especially too. You're the ringleader as well. So you've been the one pulling the strings, and your daughter threw the dagger. And I won't doubt that boyfriend is involved as well. Please check out my commentary from yesterday. 4 videos yesterday in the YouTube queue pertaining to the boyfriend being an orchestrator as well. He has knowledge. Don't get it twisted. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans.